Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In this video and also the upcoming series of tutorials, we will learn about Spring Framework and how to build a Java application using Spring Framework. We will discuss about what is Spring, why it is used, and what is the problem it is trying to solve. And after that, we will discuss an important and famous design pattern behind Spring Framework known as Dependency Injection. So let's start. So what is Spring Framework? It is a Java framework which was developed to make the enterprise Java development easier. So it was built taking many best practices and well-known design patterns into consideration. You can also say that Spring enables us to write better Java code. You may ask me how it enables us to write better code. Good question. I'm going to show you exactly how by taking a code example. Before diving into the code example, I want to tell you that you need to have a basic understanding of Java programming language to benefit from this course. So let's dive into the code. Here we have an email application. It's an email application with a Java class. And inside this class, we have our main method. And inside this main method, we are creating an object of class email client. And after creating the object, we are calling the send email method of the object by passing in the strings hey, this is my first email message, and hey, this is my second email message. Let's go inside the email client class, and here we have the send email method. Inside this method, we are first performing a spell checking by using a basic spell checker class, which is instantiated inside the constructor. And using this object reference, we are calling the check spelling method of the basic spell checker class. Let's go inside this method. Here we are doing a check that the provided email message is not null, and after that we have some print statements to simulate that this class is actually checking the spellings of our email message. So let's look at what are the problems we are facing with this particular code. So let's go back to our email client class, and here you can see that whenever we are creating an email client class, we are also creating a basic spell checker class. In other words, we can say that email client class is highly dependent on basic spell checker class, right? In the software development terminology, we can say that email client is tightly coupled to a basic spell checker class. And having a tightly coupled design is very bad for your application. It makes it hard to maintain the code, hard to extend the code, and also hard to unit test the code. We should always try to design our classes in a loosely coupled manner, which would be the opposite of tight coupling. To further explain what I mean, imagine that we have created an advanced spell checker class for our email client. Let's look at that class. So here we have the same check spelling method inside our class, and this method has a lot more functionality to it compared to our old basic spell checker. Instead of just doing a basic spell checking, it's automatically detecting the language of the email message. It is checking for the grammatical errors in the email message, and finally checking for the spelling mistakes. If you want to use this spell checker, I have to change my email client class and replace the basic spell checker implementation with the advanced spell checker class. So this is exactly what I mean by tight coupling. If our spell checker implementation is changed, we should also change our email client. Another drawback with this particular code is testability. If you want to write a unit test for the send email method, it's very hard to test whether this method is actually invoking the check spelling method or not, because the basic spell checker class is not at all exposed out of the email client class. We cannot replace this basic spell checker class with some dummy or mock spell checker classes for unit testing. So the first step to make this class loosely coupled is, instead of using the basic spell checker class, I created an interface called as spell checker and made the basic spell checker class implement that interface. Remember that the key for creating loosely coupled classes is to make use of Java interfaces and their polymorphic behavior. So now, instead of creating the basic spell checker class object, I can pass a spell checker object as the constructor parameter. And at the time of creating the email client, I will pass in the new basic spell checker as the argument. So now we can say that email client is loosely coupled with spell checker interface. So tomorrow, if I want to change the basic spell checker with advanced spell checker, I can just create a new advanced spell checker and pass that as a constructor argument. That means we are providing the dependencies of the email client class instead of creating it directly inside the constructor of the email client class. In other words, we are injecting the dependencies into the email client class. This process is called as dependency injection. We are manually injecting the dependencies to the email client class at the creation time. So imagine that instead of just these 3 to 4 classes, if our source code has hundreds of classes, it will be very painful for us to instantiate the classes and pass those dependencies manually. We need some kind of framework which creates these objects and their dependencies automatically. That is where Spring Framework comes in. The Spring Framework initially started out as just a dependency injection framework which creates our Java objects, also called as Spring Beans, and injects them at runtime. Now, Spring Framework is not just a dependency injection framework. It has a lot of other projects. If you go to Spring website, the spring.io website, and check their projects page, you can see that we have lots of projects which are created around the core Spring Framework. So I hope you have understood what is Spring Framework, what is the reason behind using Spring Framework, and in the next video, I will show you how to set up our project using IntelliJ, how to download Spring, and how to apply dependency injection principle we learned using Spring Framework. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel for more upcoming tutorials like this, and I will see you later.